Mojang has added some incredibly cute new models for the baby variants of the farm animals. I think these farm animals look a lot better than the previous versions, especially as the previous mobs seem to have their heads about 5 times the size of their body compared to the actual adult variant. This add-on is consistent with all the other baby variants and they're all incredibly cute. Although they still... Whoa. I think my favorite variant so far is the chicken, just because of the fact that the baby variant is just the cube, basically, which is kind of funny. This is actually follows across for all mobs. So even the snow variant of the pig also has a baby variant. Same for the cow, chicken. I do think my favorite is probably the snow chicken due to the fact that you can't see its legs. So all it is just all it is just cubes running about. Obviously, these ones are based in the cold climate, and the same would be for the hot climate. But the interesting thing is that didn't we recently get a retexture of the actual skins for these farm animals? Well, actually, in April 2025, that's when the Spring to Life update came, and these mobs actually got retextured. It is now currently January 2026, which is about 9 months later. Then Mojang is adding the retextured baby variants of these mobs, and I love them. I truly do. But I've got this feeling that it might be a little bit cheap in terms of an update. It's obviously not going to be the entire update, but just hear me out. Mojang has pushed for a smaller cycle, but obviously larger in quantity amounts of updates. We get 4 updates per year, which is a lot more than we previously got, which is all well and good. And obviously the content in them is normally less grand than what was originally done, especially as this is now update 1.26. But the point I want to bring up is that these textures of these mobs, I feel like were actually made a long time ago. But here's my reasoning. If Mojang is going to update the farm animals and make these textures a thing, and obviously they are currently releasing the baby variant 9 months later, I feel like it's a fair assumption that when the original mobs were being redesigned, that the baby variants were obviously considered as well. So the question is, I don't think that Mojang would overlook the fact that when they're updating these adult variants that they're going to just completely skip the baby variants. Maybe the baby variants took a bit longer, but I don't think that these mobs were completely undesigned and not even considered 9 months ago. The point I'm trying to get at here is that these mobs probably existed to some degree 9 months ago. Yes, there has to be like a remodel for them, but I don't think that sort of thing is quite hard. I actually believe that Mojang, whenever they add new mobs, is probably not that difficult in terms of physically getting a sort of look for them. I don't think that's very hard. Maybe in AI, totally, I understand, but these are the exact same mobs. They just look different. Basically like a texture pack to some degree. The point is that these mobs were designed probably a long time ago. I don't think Mojang would choose these designs for the adult mobs and then just ignore the fact that they have to make baby variants. They probably considered the baby variants before making the adult ones to know that they want it, to make sure that this design would work to be consistent with all other designs. The point being, I think that we're actually kind of getting some leftover stuff in this update. It's all adorable, please don't get that wrong. I do believe that Mojang has kind of held on to this for a while and just slowly released it on a different update, giving them a bit more time. The reason why I'm so critical is that obviously the only way that we can improve is to be critical. By only saying that we're doing fantastic things would never ever push us forward to make ourselves better. Hence I'm being a little bit critical over Mojang because I do think that these sort of things have just been held onto for about 9 months. I think Mojang is one of the most critical companies in terms of design for atmosphere, vibes, as well as experience for their game, and they put a lot of thought and time into making changes for updates and any change into the game at all. I think that's fair. We don't get that many updates because they're incredibly critical. They have a very rigorous process into adding things into Minecraft. That being said, I think that sort of thing works against them here. They definitely thought about this sort of stuff before adding it in. There could be a possible positive to all this, where this is a simple add-on to the game, and therefore whatever is left for this sort of update that will be upcoming, that there will be a lot more content to be added, as this is a relatively simple one. But I do want to add and basically make it very clear that I do think that this sort of stuff didn't actually take Mojang too long, or more importantly, they had 9 months to do this. But again, me being critical is purely in the aims of pushing Mojang to its fullest potential. It is one of the most popular games, and its updates should reflect that. I think these are absolutely fantastic additions to the game. They are absolutely wonderful. I just think in terms of Mojang's processes, I don't think that this should constitute as a major feature point for an update. We should be expecting more. I'd love to hear everyone else's thoughts on this. Maybe I'm just being a bit too pessimistic on this factor, or maybe I'm missing a main point, and I'd love to hear everyone's thoughts. I look forward to seeing the rest of this update, and I hope you will as well. Thank you for watching.